Lady from 18, I can see you jumping.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate against the bill.
Lady has the floor to debate against the bill.
Thank you. I would urge you all to look past the talking points that have surrounded this bill and the marketing in the media and everywhere else that would have you believe this bill simply keeps hardcore pornography away from our children. I would urge you to instead look at the actual language of the bill, which is very, very different from what the bill has been marketed as doing. Actually, as an attorney, I would strongly dispute what was just said about this bill. I absolutely think this would prohibit the David. I think it would prohibit the Venus. Because if you look at the actual language, apart from all of the marketing material and all the publicity, the only things it requires to create, and it's laid out right here on page 2, starting around line 38. The only things you have to prove, there's no Miller test. You don't have to satisfy the Miller test. You're not in the clear if it has literary or cultural value. There's a complete end run around traditional definitions of obscenity and all of the protections of the Miller test. Ain't in this bill. The only things that a person has to show that an ambitious plaintiff's lawyer who wants lots of money would have to show, and they are incentivized to pursue those suits by the bounty on the heads of librarians placed in this bill. All they have to show is any picture, photograph, drawing, sculpture, motion picture film, or similar visual representation of a person that depicts nudity, David, Venus, lots and lots of stuff, any basic manual about anatomy, sexual conduct, which includes any reference to homosexuality, 2 guys on a date, 2 guys holding hands, 2 women kissing, doesn't need graphic depictions of sexual activity at all. Anything involving homosexuality constitutes this. It's an either or, by the way. So they don't have to be naked and homosexual. They can be fully clothed and homosexual, and it would meet this statute. Or they can be from the 1500s and be naked and constitute this violation. And it has to be harmful to minors. Now let's bounce back to what's harmful to minors. Remember, there's 2 options to satisfy this. There's one where you have to satisfy the Miller test, but you could totally bypass that and go to Part B, which is on page 2 of the statute, the bill, starting at line 13. The only thing you have to do to meet that, you can have all the cultural and literary value in the world. It doesn't have to be obscene under federal law. The only thing you have to do to meet harmful to minors is that it arouses sexual desires. So if somebody looking at the Venus or the David feels sexual desire, and let me tell you, nothing against 15-year-old boys, I've had 3 of them, but it doesn't take much to arouse the sexual desires of a 15-year-old boy. That could be a Sears catalog. So we're looking at a very, very, very low level of what this needs to make. It's anything that depicts nudity or gay people and that might arouse somebody's sexual desire. Period. That's it. And then free money. This is a disaster. Not only that, all they have to do is have allowed any access to a minor. So someone who wants a free $2,500, all they have to do is move a book from the adult section of the library to the kids section of the library, say, oh, look what I found in the kids section. Give me $2,500, please. So among other things, besides incentivizing a total shutdown of access to literary materials in our libraries, this is frankly incentivizing fraud. I know it's been said that $2,500 isn't that much. That's a whole lot of money to a library or a school who are operating on a very, very lean budget. These are people who are not being paid very much. They're scrimping and scrapping. That's going to be the better part of a year's worth of budget for new books to lose $2,500. That's crippling, and that's before you even get into group lawsuits. Somebody is very likely to try to bring a class action. There's nothing in here that precludes that. So they might sue on behalf of all the hundreds of kids who walked through the library, and it could look like a whole lot more than $2,500. Libraries have said under this bill their only option will be to shut their doors to people under the age of 18. And frankly, again, I think it's a real problem that this treats all minors equally. There's a very big difference between what's appropriate for a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old and a 4-year-old. And this bill says that the only thing 16 and 17-year-olds are allowed to read are the complete, mush, couldn't possibly arouse anybody's sexual desire that would be appropriate for a 4-year-old. This bill is a disaster for schools and libraries. It's a disaster for the First Amendment. It's a disaster for access to ideas and intellectual growth on the part of our youth. And I know that as soon as I say this, everyone's going to be like, she just wants hardcore pornography in the hands of children. No, there has been so much demagoguery in the press around this. Look at the language of the bill and see through the demagoguery, and please see this, give this your red light.